Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Night Advanced Bible Study. 22nd of July, 2021. I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. This is a non-Messianic channel. We're dealing with the Tanakh and the Torah. That's the Old Testament and the first 5 books of the Bible. I think it's Shemaiah. You gotta connect your you need to connect your mic and your cam before you can come in. Okay. Shalom and welcome to everyone. We're gonna do our moment of silence and prayer and our songs, and then do a little current events, and then we'll go into some Q&A. Anybody have any questions? Oh Lord, we come before thee at this time that you have given unto us for rest. We are thankful for your knowledge and the understanding that you have given unto us up until this point. And we seek thy face on this day, that you shower us with peace and enlightenment and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see thy hand in the affairs of the world, but we understand that what you have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not thy face from us, but hearken unto this plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto you. Okay. Let me read the Psalms right quick. I'm gonna read Psalms Psalm 78. It's a reminder of God's goodness to Israel. It's a psalm of Asaph. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from thy children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he have done. Okay. For he establishes the testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who shall arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, the generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in that day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, and refused to walk in his law, and forgot his works and his wonders that he had showed them. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the fields of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as a heat. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all night with a light of fire. He clave the rock in the wilderness and gave them drink out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And their sins yet more again, and they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock, that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God, and trusted not in his salvation, though he had commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them the corn of the heaven. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in heaven, and by his power he brought in a south wind. He, he rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sands of the sea. And he left it, and he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitation. So they did eat, and were filled, and he gave them their own desires. Okay, being punished, Israel returned to God. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them and slew the fattest of them and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they sinned still and believed not for his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after God. They remembered that God was their rock and the high God, their redeemer. Read that again. And they remembered that God was their rock and the high God, their redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues, for their hearts were not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many a times turned he his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. How did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remember not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the fields of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, frogs, which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation, and trouble by sending evil angels among them. He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all the firstborn in Egypt, chief of their strength in the tabernacles of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep, and gathered them in the wilderness like a flock, and he led them on safely, so they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies, and he brought them to the borders of his sanctuary, even to this mountain, which his right hand had purchased. He cast out the heathen also before them, divided them an inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. And when God heard this, he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Israel, so that he forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent which he had placed among them, among men. He delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hand. He gave his people over also unto the sword, and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not even given to marriage. Their priests fell by the sword, their widows made no lamentation. Then the Lord awakes as one but out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouteth by reason of wine, and he smote his enemies in the hinder parts, and he put them to the perpetual reproach. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, the mount of Zion, which he loved, and he built a sanctuary like high places, like the earth which he hath established forever. He chose David also his servant, and he took him from the sheepfolds, from following the ewes great with young, He brought him to feed Jacob, his people, and Israel his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hand. So that's his Psalm 78, and it's a reminder of God's goodness to Israel. It's a psalm of Asaph. It's good reading. Okay. Anybody got any comments? Any current events they want to mention? Okay. Everybody good on that? Okay, I got a couple of current events. Okay. The first one is this okay. It says vaccinations rise in some states with soaring infections. Vaccinations are beginning to rise in some states, whereas COVID-19 cases are soaring. White House officials said Thursday in a sign that the summer surge is getting the attention of vaccine hesitant Americans, as hospitals in the South are being overrun with patients. So we're back here again. Same situation last July. Coronavirus coordinator Jeff Zinks told reporters that several states with the highest proportion of new infections have seen residents get vaccinated at higher rates than the nation as a whole. Officials cited Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana, Missouri, and Nevada as examples. And let me read a little more. The full surge is real. The numbers are quite frightening at the moment. Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards said on a New Orleans radio show. Edwards, a Democrat, added, "There is no doubt that we are going in the wrong direction, and we're going there in a hurry." Louisiana reported 2,843 new COVID-19 cases Thursday, a day after reporting 5,388, the third highest level since the pandemic began. Hospitalizations are up steeply in the last month, from 242 on June 19th to 913 in the latest report. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
I don't ever believe anything that's reported. I just don't. It's
Okay.
always a motive to it, I think.
Okay.
And it may just be the flu cases that come every year. You know, they can label it what they want. So I just don't believe anything that the news reports. If they're telling us, then it's probably a lie. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, they got something going on with that. Okay. So I got something else. Okay. We was talking about this the other day, but it seemed like it's getting worse. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
It says smoke smears. It says how an Oregon blaze became the nation's largest fire. Smoke smeared the sky gray. A tractor-style logging machine sat abandoned and charred in the field. Hundreds of firefighters raced across miles and miles of forest land, often outnumbering the population of small towns at Speckle, Southern Oregon. See that? It says lightning strike on the brittle, dry Oregon mountain slope set off the blaze that has grown larger than the city of Los Angeles, revealing the challenges of curbing small blazes that can explode into coastal wildfires. Okay, so it says bootleg fires named for a nearby creek that's raged in a way distinguishing it from the dozens of other wildfires in the devastating summer. For the better part of the 2 weeks, it's burned in erratic and extreme ways that in most fires last only a day or two. Flames tore on and on through a whole stands of trees. High winds sent amber long distances, sparking new fires. The bootleg fires grew to more than 600 miles, 600 square miles, and send smoke and haze across the country. So, like I was saying before, uh, yeah, did everybody get that the video about the fires?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm expecting everybody to be in watch it by tomorrow by the time 7 o'clock comes. So I mean, they saying it's some kind of uh, lightning strike started this fire, but you know they don't add up. Just like on the other guy was showing you how them fires is something else going on because of the devastation that you see. It can't be, you know, something else going on. Okay.
Brother Leonard, um, I've been posting in the stream, but all over there's mud floods going on that they're not reporting. All
Right.
of these fires. The
Right.
Lord of Hosts is doing this.
Right. It's all kind of stuff going
Yeah.
on. Right. And then,
Hmm.
like I said, they this place is built off of capitalism, you know, and he just tearing it all apart because of like I said, it's the shelves. You can see the shelves in the stores ain't, you know, they're not stocked like they normally are. It's because of everything that's been going on. They're not able to move the supplies like they did before. It's a lot of stuff going on. They're not really reporting it.
Right.
Okay.
Did you all know about the earthquakes in California yesterday?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that today.
Okay.
And they had them in multiple spots.
Right. And an hour ago they have a rainstorm going through Vegas. There's a
Well,
lot of stuff going on, you guys. You for real.
Oh yeah. And you gotta find other alternative news sources rather than because they ain't really talking about it. They got the other little stuff going on and keep you caught up with that voting
Right.
voting rights and all that. But yeah,
Even in Russia, they have a big fire going on
right,
right now that they can't contain.
okay,
Yeah,
and that's all.
man.
Okay, so we're gonna deal with this right here. I'm always talking about this, so I figured out shine a light on this. This is what I mean by they catch us at 6 years old to 18, and give us garbage like this here and put it in our head because we don't know no better. We you know we have it all up in our head. That's fact. So here we go right here. Check out how absurd this is.
When we say humans, most people think we are the only ones or the only species that have ever walked this earth. But the truth is that we are not the only human species to have ever lived. We are just the human species that survived. Hence, we can call ourselves the surviving species. Welcome back to this channel, guys. In today's video, we are going to talk about the various kinds of human species that have existed before us. But before we start, please remember to check our previous videos and hit like and subscribe. There are around 14 human species that have ever lived before us. All these have varying features, but there are some characteristics that they have left behind in us. So let us check them out. Number 1. Homo habilis. Of all the Homo species, this is the one that is the least similar to Homo sapiens. It lived between 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago. It evolved in Africa and went extinct in the same place. They possessed some ape-like features such as long arms, a moderately prognathous face, and they had a cranial capacity slightly less.
Yeah, so I was talking about how when Genesis 1 and 2, when we first introduced to scriptures, it says that the whole earth was covered with water, and then the Most High brought the water up, brought land up out of the water. So the land that came up out of the water was good. He looked at it and it's good. So when he say it's good, he's talking about trees, fruit trees, and berries, and everything you did the land bring forth for the human. It's good. And so you have to know that something happened in the places where it ain't good, where like the desert. Something happened. It's something wicked. The reason why it's like that. So at the Antarctic, that ain't how he created. That's the land is good, but what happened? Why is the snow and ice over here got it covered? So it's something happened. So like I said before, when you think about the creative abilities and the most high powers that he have, you're gonna create something like this to where it's got to
Half of the size of modern humans.
Evolve.
Some say that one population of Homo habilis might have evolved into the earliest undisputable human species.
This is how the human looked at first. So when the Most High created him, this is how he looked. So like I was saying before, these everything that's in Israel, they constantly denigrating, but we can't see that.
Homo erectus. Number 2, Homo erectus. They lived throughout the Pleistocene period from 1.9 million years ago to most recently 143,000 years ago. Studies prove that Homo erectus originated in Africa and spread through India, China.
Look at that right quick. Okay? Yeah. See this hyena? Now this man over here, he don't look like the man today. But the hyena look like the hyena today. So these men evolved, but the hyena didn't. Look at the deer. Deer look like deers today. The animals, they ain't evolved. But the man's supposed to evolve from looking like this to where he is today. And like I said, that's a life on a piece of hell. Come on.
Studies prove that Homo erectus originated in Africa and spread through India, China, Georgia, and then Java. They had a cranial capacity greater than that of Homo habilis, and they stood about 5 feet 10 inches tall. And they were extraordinarily slender, with long arms and legs. It has been suggested that they may have been the first kinds to use rafts to cross oceans. Number 3, Homo gotengensis. Fossils of this species show that they had big teeth to chew plant materials, and most researchers believe that they lacked in speech and language skills, especially due to the small brain. The species was found to have stood over 3 feet tall and weighed about 110 pounds. Researchers say they could walk on 2 feet when on the ground, but most probably spent considerable time in trees, perhaps feeding, sleeping, and escaping predators. But besides all that, they believed it was a pretty close relative of Homo sapiens. Number 4, Homo neanderthalensis. The Neanderthals were found to have appeared in Eurasia approximately 200,000 years ago. They are the most famous of all the extinct human species. That is probably the reason why the Big Bang Theory's theme song was made based on them, or included them. They are sometimes labeled as the cousin of our species. That is because they had most of the features of modern humans. They looked the same, they used different tools for hunting, and were symbolic ornamental objects. Number 5, Homo floresiensis. They were believed to have lived 95,000 years ago to 17,000 years ago in Indonesia. Also known as the hobbits, they were quite small in size, around 3.5 feet tall, with a tiny brain. Besides a short body and a small brain, they had unusually large and long feet, exactly like hobbits. There are some evidences that tell us that this species made stone tools and used them to hunt small elephants and large rodents. And they made.
So this is why the Most High was saying, don't let your sons marry their daughters. Right here. They tricked us out, but we can't see that. This is what he's talking about. Yeah, these people here came from these fallen angels, and we know these fallen angels doing the most. So they had all kind of, their DNA was all chopped up. So this is why the Most High was saying, don't intermingle with them. So they evolved to what they have today because they intermingle with us. Yeah. Any comments?
Yeah, I got some comments, boy. Okay. So them right there, the so-called hobbits. In the Lord of the Rings, they got them people called the hobbits, right?
Right. They got a movie called The Hobbit.
Right. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with UB News, but UB News got a breakdown called "The Smartest Beast in the Field," where he talk about the split up that happened at the Tower of Babel, where some of the humans were turned that because the ones that shot arrows at the Most High, those who wanted to go to war, each faction of people had their own little thing they was trying to do that was wicked, and basically,
Right.
the Most High turned some of them people into apes and elephants. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And basically how they evolved over time too. So this kind of hitting right on the money, and this is a very good reason why the Most High didn't want us to be mixing and mingling our seed, because when you really look at these people for real, now come on, when you really look at them, they look funny in real life, and some
Right.
people got that strange smell when the rain hit them.
Right. Exactly. Right. Right.
But like you were saying about the apes, I mean, the evolution, the apes and the hyenas and all, if evolution was a thing, then apes wouldn't be here anymore. They're
Right.
still here. So how can we evolve from apes when they still exist? It
Right.
doesn't make
But what if
sense.
they was mixing though? What if it was because, like you said, human DNA, the same reason why angelic beings was able to create and mix with the humans and to create another species, that perhaps the people that did, to be turned into apes, because you've seen the Planet of the Apes, they don't just be making this stuff out of nowhere, and there's nothing new under the sun, for real, for real.
Right.
And we're not saying that the Most High's creations that He created from day one, like the same way. Look at this. I bet. So the same way we got the wolf, we got the dog. Do we not?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
what did they do? They came in doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? We got the domesticated cat. The Most High, He ain't done made that. You know. And we know they got people with animal heads and human bodies and stuff like that. And it's a verse in the Bible. I don't know if it's in the Bible or if it's in the book of Enoch somewhere, about how these people came out the woods that was like, like mystical creatures and was devouring people. I think that these people still exist to this day, but they hidden. These people is wicked. We in Babylon.
Right. Yeah, that's in Joshua. They came out of the desert.
And I wanted to add to that evolution. There's always some truth to everything, right?
Right.
So I believe that Esau, he was part of the Neanderthals, not us, but they are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 2, this what this does is it shows you about when Esau was born, and how, like I said, we're not dealing with DNA. DNA just don't fall out the sky. It's got to be injected into a person. So it ain't just gonna just pop up. They want to say that the Most High just decided to make a one son he wicked and the other one righteous, but that ain't the case. Ain't how he operate. So on Deuteronomy chapter 2, pertaining to what you just said. So it says in they come in, Jacob come out of Egypt. They come through the wilderness and they come up to Mount Seir. And it says, verse 1, then he turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spake unto me, and we can pass Mount Seir. See that? That's Esau. Esau at Mount Seir. But what was at Mount Seir before Esau got there was these red-haired giants that we just got through looking at. They came from the angels. The red-haired giants, they dwelled on Mount Seir. And Esau came there and usurped them. The same way what the Israelites getting ready to do to the land of Canaan. They came in and they displaced the giants. Esau did the same thing on Mount Seir. These red-haired giants, except that he intermingled with them. Esau married a couple of them. So it says, 4, and command all the people, saying, ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell at Seir, and they shall be afraid of them, or afraid of you. Take ye great heed unto yourselves, therefore, meddle not with them, for I will not give you their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I have given it to Mount Seir. I've given Mount Seir unto Esau for possession. So what is he saying? Like I said, he gave the land of Canaan to Abraham. They went into captivity in Egypt. When they came out of Egypt, they went and possessed the land of Canaan, but it's giants there. So they had to get rid of the giants. That's what Moses, Joshua, and David, all of them doing. They're killing the giants. They're displacing the giants. Well, Esau did the same thing while Jacob was in captivity. Doing the captivity in Egypt, he was in captivity. Jacob ended up over at Mount Seir, was red-headed giants there. And they came in there, intermingled with them and subdued them. And now this land, like he said, it's Esau land. He helped them subdue these red-headed giants. And that's what enough people don't understand. The same thing with the Moabites. Verse 10 says 9. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites. Right? That's Lot's son. Neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give you their land for a possession, because I have given it to Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. Then he said 10. The Eman, the race of giants, dwelt therein in times past, a people great, many and tall as a mountain. So these Eman dwelt in Moab before they got there. They subdued them. So all these people, Lot, Moab, the Moabites, intermingled with them, got giants. The Ammonites intermingled with this race of giants and got giants. And Esau did the same thing. So that's how they intermingle with this. They call these so-called Neanderthal man is none other than these giants that came from the angels coming down sleeping with me. And we know that they were defective because the angelic DNA came mixed with human DNA. So they defective. And what making them good is when they start intermingling with Yahweh's creation. And that's why he's telling them, don't intermingle with them. Don't sleep with them.
All right, and Brother Leonard, let's talk about the Moabites and let's talk about defects. Now, I came across something that said that when people be having incest in their family, because we know that Lot daughter slept with him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which means what? Birth defects. You feel me? So
Right.
when you think about birth defects, like they say that like people that got cleft lip, that's just not some type of the defect that come from birth. That come from you intermingling and sleeping around with close members of your family, pushed in skulls, like deformities in your face and in your body, little bitty heads. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
when you think about these people, when you looking around, you know, they done deformed people. Look at the giants that be deformed. You know what I'm saying? So they clearly, you know, somebody, mom and daddy slept together, then created a baby. They slept with the giant. You getting cyclops. You getting all these type of defects that are not normal out of the Most High's creation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right.
Right. And the thing about that is, like I said, out of ignorance, we know that's coming to the forefront now. But back in the past, we've been brainwashed. Like I said, we don't understand that all this was happening before we came on the scene. So we know nothing about it. We're not able to look at that and say and address it for what it is, and then get away from it. But they got us thinking that this is just something that just happenstance that's in all humans.
Right.
But it's a history to that. And so when you understand it, that's why I say when you come up to anybody, you talking to them, or especially you call yourself trying to get them the word of God, look at them.
Yeah.
You got to check them out and all that, and look at their comments. And you do more looking and observing than you do talking. You can save yourself a lot of time and energy.
You know, because, you know, Aqua is like, you know, I'm going to direct this question at y'all. Truly, how many times y'all looked at the TV? For real, for real. And I mean, looked at the news, seen some people on the internet and be like, yo, what's wrong with them? Like, they look funny.
Right.
Like, they don't look human. Like, you start looking at their cheekbones, their eyes, you know, you like, bro, they look like they mixed with like a fish or something. Like, they be looking strange, don't they, on the TV and internet?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. They said that when a lot of those Europeans first started coming to Africa, the children and the Africans was crying. They just started crying and praying because they said they was missing like they had been skinned. So they was missing their upper layer of their skin. And they thought they was crying. They started crying and praying for them. Imagine that.
Man, Brother Leonard, I heard, no, for real, I heard on a little video I don't know where I saw this video on YouTube, but it was an old video, Brother Leonard. I kid you not. They said when the white people came and took over Africa, that they came in with like demons. That they came in with people that came off a boat that was like hopping around with one leg, one arm, and that's how they
Right.
was
Yeah.
able to come in and conquer them because they
Right.
had people that wasn't 100% human helping and fighting the people. You know
Right.
what I'm saying, to take over the land.
Right. Right. I heard that too, and also the dogs. They had those just like they're doing now. Because, like I said, we weren't doing that. All of a sudden, now all over the place, you're seeing folks with dogs. But ain't nothing with it. No, but that's not what we was doing. They over when they was over in the far in the Middle East. I mean, in the north, like I said, the ice and the snow and all that. That's not how the Most High created everything. So them people, they survived with those dogs, interbreeding those dogs and crossbreeding those dogs and making those vicious different type of vicious dogs. And then so when they came over here, that's what they had. They had those vicious dogs. They would come out there and let those dogs go on those Israelites. That's been covered over. They didn't tell you all that. Those conquistadors, when they came over on the ships, they had them ships full of those vicious dogs.
Vicious dogs covered in armor.
Right. And they let them go on the people, and that's what that was the first thing they seen when they introduced it to them. So they automatically put fear in the people, because that's the first thing they saw when they seen them was these people and these vicious dogs they released on them. So yeah.
I was gonna say, like you said, they put fear in them, and that's why a lot of them didn't run or try to leave, because they would release those dogs,
Right.
And they knew the dogs was gonna, run them down.
Right.
And they let the dogs just, tear them apart.
Right. And they wasn't used to that. They hadn't seen nothing like that before.
Right.
And like she was saying, they was defective. They were looking all crazy. One big old eye and one little eye and all that. One ear big, other ear little. That's how they was looking, and they tripped out. They ain't never seen nothing like that.
Right.
And it was probably shocked. Like, black people gotta look, turn their head to the side, like what?
Right.
For a second.
Oh yeah. They was degenerates. I mean, that's the thing about, like I was saying about back when I was first started, I was renting those different little buildings and stuff, trying to do classes. Then here they come walking in there. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, come on! I'm not gonna carry my conversation. I'm coming on with it. So now I'm we can't even conversate no more because I done dropped the bomb. So I ain't with that no more. So I'm trying to do something on my own. I don't want to conversate. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Let me over here. Let me do my thing. Y'all do y'all thing.
What happened? When they walk in, everybody got quiet?
No. It's just that you're uncomfortable because you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like our example was when I first, all the stuff was going on with me. I was telling you about how the dreams came and the Most High started revealing all the stuff to me. So I came home. My mom was a staunch Christian. She's a staunch Christian. She was telling me a story about how, what I'm saying, that she was by this log out in the woods when she was little, and then she said that she had down by the log praying or something, and she looked up and big old snake was there. And then she said, Jesus came and got snake. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at that, you know what I'm saying? So they don't make it good. They don't make it good. They don't make it good because your mama saying that. Come on, you try to show me all this stuff. That don't make it good. Cause you know what I'm saying? It's my dad and my brother, my sister. It don't make it good. It don't. So I mean, and I got hemmed up for a minute on that. And and so in that situation too, I mean, come on. It's time. The truth got to come out. You can't be fumbling with that cause you get into a little, that whole, that's what they've done to us. A lot of people turn back. You know what I'm saying? You can't not when you get it like that. You can't turn back. You got to keep moving. You just got to figure out a way how to be civilized with the people, with everybody. But come on, yeah.
They ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing about JC, so I ain't gonna sugarcoat it either. I was just telling my brother that the other day. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Right. It's time out for that. I mean, that could happen already too. So it's now it's time. It's out. Most High bringing this out raw. You ain't no more sugarcoat and fumbling with it. You got to come on with it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So that's where I was at with the you know with the Daniel 9:25. Come on, anybody know anything about the Bible? Daniel 9:25. It tell you that's JC. So what I want to know is bring it out. Come. Call me out. If what I'm saying ain't right, then call me out. I don't care who it is. So
They ain't trying to do
we can
that.
get to the bottom of it. We get to the bottom of it. Yeah. So based on that, we at the point now for some open questions. I'm opening up for questions and comments from anything you got that you heard or whatever.
Okay, so Leonard,
Yeah.
the photo that he showed of the people that were eating the zebra,
Right.
I saw that, but I saw it with like real people, with modern day people. They were in this cold region, but they had killed a buffalo, and instead of them eating inside, they were eating outside with heavy coats and stuff on, and they were sitting around the buffalo, and they were draining the blood and drinking the blood, and just cutting slices of the raw meat and passing it around. So I saw that like recently.
Right. Right. So what they tell you?
That is still going on.
Yeah, but ain't the people today that eat their steak with the blood still in it?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they do.
So there you go right there. That's how you connect the dots. So like I said, go all the way back to JFAD. Ain't no way in hell JFAD know his son. Because we see how we can trace his appearance all the way back to who JFAD is. It's the Europeans and all them. And the Greeks were blonde hair, blue eyed. We ain't no blonde hair, blue eyed. So how in the world is we the JFAD our kinfolk? They got a totally different origin. That's an insult. That's an insult to anybody's intelligence. Once you look at it, ain't no way in hell no man that's I can see if he just had one brown head, nappy headed kid, and then the rest of them was other colors. But he been having from generation to generation to generation. He been having brown skinned, dark skinned kids, brown eyes with woolly hair. Now all of a sudden you got a race of people, all these people with blonde hair and blue eyes. They just one. You got a whole race of people with blonde hair and blue eyes. They can't came from. It's no way they came from the same origins. DNA don't work like that. That's a lie from the pits of hell. And it's got to be addressed. Come on.
Drinking human blood and all of that stuff is part of even an oath now. That they're
Right.
doing, and they've been doing that for years. Like
Right.
yeah.
Right. They got a track record from it.
Yes.
They ain't make no mistake doing that. They've been doing it, so it's part of their DNA. Like I said, with the homosexuality, we wasn't doing that. We picked that up from more people that got a whole other origin that was doing that, and now we doing it like it's and to the point where we all out in the streets marching for rights to do that when it has nothing to do with us. We to pick that up.
I think personally, that homosexuality, lesbianism, I believe it's a spirit. I believe that it's a wicked spirit that has came upon those people and that they welcome it, and that, like you said, we learned it, and it's very terrible for real, for real. Like
Right.
it breaks my heart from just experience. But I got something for you, brother Leonard. Okay.
Okay.
So, you know how we in the last days and times, things is getting ugly around here. We seeing, the Most High's hand is out here moving. He's smacking folks up, causing floods. We also see that it's a shortage of things, shortage on gas, shortage on food. Of course, they trying to pretend that it's not. Of course, they covering things up. You know what I'm saying? So this is my question to you for your opinion with everything that we got going on, where does Israel fall in at? Because we still waiting to be delivered. But as far as like the food shortages and having, because to me, this is just my personal opinion from what I see the way the world going to, it's gonna come a time when we're not gonna have no power, that they gonna
Right.
crash the internet, so as far as being able to communicate with one another, that's gonna be a no-go. It's gonna be, we're not gonna have no TV. It's gonna be a broadcast constantly playing so that we don't know what's going on while they coming in and doing, who knows what. Because when Hurricane Katrina hit, they was doing the most, without people actually being aware of what they was doing to the people. So as far as us goes, as the chosen ones, how do you think that this situation is going to affect us? Do you feel like perhaps maybe it'll be like a virtual Goshen where our gardens is popping, we have protection, our neighborhoods, where because I know that the Most High will spare a city or a town for the sake of the righteous folks that's there. That's
Right.
already been proven. So do you feel like maybe where he feel like his righteous people are, that maybe those cities won't be attacked, or those neighborhoods, and that will be flourishing while the rest of the world is coming into turmoil? Or do you think that we all finna be having to get go through this situation, and then maybe our deliverance will come? Or you think our deliverance will come and then they gonna have to go through all of this?
Well, it's nothing new under the sun. You got to go back and look at how he done it in the past. So he had all Israel when he did what he did in Egypt. He had all Israel in Goshen.
Mhm.
He had them all in one place. So that tells me he's going to gather Israel first. Well, so two things going on with that. When you understand how when they came into let me get it. It's Exodus 23. So he said little by little.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a when you understand uh Genesis chapter 14 or 14, the battle of the giants. It was giants by the thousands all over the land of Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a war. It was a giant war, which is one of the things he do. He caused our enemies to fight against each other
Amongst themselves.
and,
Yep.
and destroy each other. So he gathered Israel in Egypt into Goshen in one place. Then he started destroying them. Matter of fact, it says in Joshua that he put all them in suspended animation. He had them in suspended animation. No, everybody was froze. And then and so he didn't want them to see none of what he was doing. And so he had them all in suspended animation, did what he did, and then he came back. And so we see the same thing happening now, where, like I was saying, in Exodus, he said, little by little, I'm going to drive them out. It was giants all over the place. So he was knocking them off little by little. That's what we're looking at right now. One,
Yeah.
one event at a time. It's just going to get, every time an event happens, they're getting weaker and weaker. You're going to look
Yeah.
up, and they're going to be, they're going to be collapsed.
Okay, now how about this too? To add on to that, I've been hearing different things, so I just want your opinion on it. So, one, I heard that the Most High only going to gather the lawful captive. I heard that He only going to gather the ones that's keeping His law, statutes, and commandments. Then I heard that everybody that's called by His name, even if you don't know that you Israel, is going to be gathered, and then we all go through judgment and go through the wilderness and go through our how he said he'll plead with us. So he gonna be doing all of that the same way he did with our forefathers. And some people made it to the land, very few, but most people, got killed off in time. So do you think that he only gonna gather the lawful captive, only the ones who are called by his name, or you think that he gonna gather everybody? That's the people that believe in JC. That's everybody that's from the seed of Jacob.
Right. So he made a statement. He said that he's gonna if you know where you can go in the latter days, he's gonna find you. Those in the bottom of the sea. So who is that in the bottom of the sea?
I don't know, brother Leonard.
Transatlantic slave trade.
Oh,
Come on. So so
my
the answer to my
melanin don't
question,
be
the answer right
activated.
there. Huh?
So my melanin don't be activated all the time. Me be slipping up sometimes.
Okay, yeah. So that tell me he's gonna get everybody, because I mean, Those people didn't, they was thrown overboard and, doing the transatlantic slave trade. So he said he's going to get everybody, gather everybody. But Daniel 12:1 says that he's going to bring everybody back, the righteous and the unrighteous. Some to righteousness and some to unrighteous.
Everlasting shame. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then from there they get, just like when he went to Egypt, it says he left with no Israelite left in Egypt.
That's right.
But we know some wicked ones that came out with him, and they brought a trial and error with Israel all the way to the time they got to the land of Canaan.
They really did, though. They
So
really
it's
did.
nothing new under the sun. That's what's gonna happen now.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said we follow the old paths. Right. Anybody else got anything? Okay. Yeah, I want to play this video right here, and then we get some comments off of it. Let me play this.
This is Deborah with redirecting, and I'm going to be showing you a video of a white woman who is breaking down white fragility very, very well. She is talking about white fragility, so I'm going to let her talk, and I'll be back just for a few more words afterward. Was to reduce a racist to a very simple formula. A racist is an individual, always an individual, not a system, who consciously does not like people based on race, must be conscious, and who intentionally seeks to be mean to them. Individual conscious intent. And if that is my definition of a racist, then your suggestion that anything I've said or done is racist or has a racist impact, I'm going to hear that as you just said I was a bad person. You just put me over there in that category. And most of my bias anyway is unconscious. So I'm not intending, I'm not aware. So now I'm going to need to defend my moral character. And I will, and we've all seen it. It seems to be virtually impossible based on that definition for the average white person to look deeply at their socialization, to look at the inevitability of internalizing racist biases, developing racist patterns, and having investments in the system of racism, which is pretty comfortable for us and serves us really well. I think that definition of a racist, that either or, what I call the good bad binary, is the root of virtually all white defensiveness on this topic, because it makes it virtually impossible to talk to the average white person about the inevitable absorption of a racist worldview that we get by being literally swimming in racist water. So let me connect that to myself. As a result of being raised as a white person in this society, I have a racist worldview. I have deep racist biases. I have developed racist patterns, and I have investments in the system of racism because it's served me really well. It's comfortable. It's helped me overcome the barriers that I do face. And I also have an investment in not seeing any of that for what it would suggest to me about my identity and what it would require of me. Right? I didn't choose any of that. I don't feel guilty about it. It is an inevitable result of being raised in this society in which racism is the bedrock.
Okay, so while we listen to this, I want to inject something. So we get just a New Testament, Old Testament, New Testament thing. We just talked about how the Most High told us don't mingle with nobody outside Israel. And he was talking about the DNA. We just saw where these people came from. She already did. So we see where these people came from. So while you watching the rest of this, try to imagine them trying to understand with the stuff that you know now. Going back to thinking like a Hebrew. It's impossible. It's impossible for them to deal with the Old Testament. It's impossible for them to absorb even the way that the Old Testament and the way that Hebrew Israelites even think. These two totally different people. Okay?
The question of guilt comes in what am I doing about that? While we who are white tend to be fragile in that it doesn't take much to upset us around race, the impact of our response is not fragile at all. It's a kind of weaponized defensiveness, weaponized hurt feelings, right? And it functions really, really effectively to repel the challenge. As a white person, I move through the world racially comfortable virtually 24/7. It is exceptional for me to be outside of my racial comfort zone. And most of my life, I've been warned not to go outside my racial comfort zone. And so, on the rare occasion when I am uncomfortable racially, it's a kind of throwing off of my racial equilibrium. And I need to get back into that. And so I will do whatever it takes to repel the challenge and get back into it. And in that way, I think white fragility functions as a kind of white racial bullying, to be frank. We make it so miserable for people of color to talk to us about our inevitable and often unaware racist patterns that we cannot help develop from being socialized into a culture in which racism is the bedrock and the foundation. We make it so miserable for them to talk to us about it that most of the time they don't. We just have to understand that most people of color that are working or living in primarily white environments take home way more daily slights and hurts and insults than they bother talking to us about, because their experiences, they're going to risk more punishment.
You see why he not, the Most High didn't choose them to oversee the planet. See how they think? There's no way they go. You see what they're doing to the planet. This is the reason why he didn't choose them to oversee the planet. She don't have no kind of countenance after all that happened to us as Israelites. We still today in 2021, our eyes and our mind on y'all. She worried about racism and worried about her standing in the world and all that. After all the atrocities that happened to us, we still got a spiritual mind and our mind still on y'all.
They're going to lose the relationship. They're going to have their experience minimized, explained away. They're going to cause the person to feel attacked or hurt. And in that way, white fragility functions as a kind of everyday white racial control. None of that has to be intentional or conscious, but that is how it functions. And it's actually incredibly liberating and transformative to start from the premise that, of course, I've internalized all of this. And then I can stop defending, deflecting, denying, hoping you won't notice, minimizing, explaining. And I can just let go of that and get to work. And there's a question that's never failed me in my efforts to unpack. How do we pull this off? How do so many of us who are white individually feel so free of racism? And yet we live in a society that is so profoundly separate and unequal by race.
Okay. Any comments?
Is she saying? Oh, go ahead. Somebody, go ahead.
I was just thinking that reminded me of when they're talking about that critical race theory, how they don't want so-called to change the history and make the United States look bad by showing, the systematic racism they had. But when she was just mentioning a lot of that, it's kind of what they're doing and why they don't like that whole, that the critical race theory. And they trying to, I saw something that was doing, I guess, sessions with the military people talking about, and he was saying that some people were saying it, they were getting out if that, they didn't join for that, to hear all this bad stuff about, you know, the United States. They joined to be of
Right,
service. I don't know that the military people were saying that, but
right,
um, they were teaching it in the military, and they had some kind of um, I don't know if it was in Congress. They was debating whether they should do it or not. And they were trying to speak against, even doing that with different,
right,
entities in the military.
right. That's tied to that 1619 project. They was talking about introducing that to the curriculum in all schools, and so they saying that they having a problem with it because it's exposing them for who they are, and they don't want that to happen because they children now they're not they're not aware of it. There's a whole other world going on now, those children don't understand how they got to where they at and how where we at, and that's exposing and letting them know that we not at the bottom of the food chain by accident. These people have systematically through wickedness got us where we at, and they don't
Yeah,
want that. They don't want that to come out.
yeah,
Shalom.
Yeah,
I also noticed how she was not sympathetic at all
right,
when it came to racism. In
right,
fact, she defended the racist patterns, and
right,
she even mentioned that their bias was even unconscious.
right, exactly. And that's what I was shining a light on, the fact that what I mean by uh, how you get coons. You hear everybody talking about coons, this coon that. Well, you get sucked into that because if you don't have this understanding right, this knowledge of who you are, you're gonna get sucked into that. Trying to get along with them, worrying about what they're saying and ducking and dodging from certain things that you want to talk about but you can't talk about and all that. You get sucked into that. If you don't have the knowledge of the Most High and the truth of the matter, then you're gonna get sucked into that. Yeah. Anybody else got anything?
Well, personally, coming from experience, like when I first came into this truth, I used to loathe the white man. When I say I did not like them, like you could see it on my face when they walked past me, the face that I would just give them, especially when
Right.
I would see a white person with a black person. Oh my God, it was just
Mm.
I was just so out of line, like for real. There was no hiding it from me, baby. But
Okay.
once the Most High started to really work on my spirit, because at the end of the day, once you understand wickedness and once you understand spirits and how people jump on people, and sometimes, it's just something wrong with them. And when you can accept that, and the Most High said that He gonna put the lowest of the lowest over us, a no
Right.
people. And
Right.
once you start speaking, baby, you was a no people. You have no soul. And instead of being mad, and instead of thinking of all these type of ways that I could bust you upside your head, I just think about, that you have no soul and that you are going to be wiped out and annihilated. And you are just a tool, a belt to whoop the people into um, what the Most High was using to give us our punishment because of
Right.
our own wickedness. And then I started to take acceptance on myself and to plead for forgiveness for my ancestors, because had we never had disobeyed Him and sinned in the wilderness, we wouldn't be here. So
Exactly.
instead of being mad because you ain't got no soul, because you made wrong and you jacked up on the inside, I just started acknowledging the fact that, you know what, we wrong, and we never should have did what we did in the wilderness. We wouldn't even be having to deal with this mess or with you. So at the end of the day, baby, you can say what you want to say, but the Most High got a plan for you. And as
Right.
long as you don't bring none of that my way, because I'm coming with the hand of my ancestors that I ain't even done met, and I'm gonna crush you. So just don't even bring that my way. Say what you got to say on the internet, baby. But as long as you don't do none of that towards me or my children or my family or anybody that I'm able to like actually be around, then I'm not gonna sit up here and worry about it. You just sick in the head and you can't even help it.
Right. Exactly. You're able to focus, and like I said, you just deal with them from with a long handle spoon. It's about knowing. That's why I was saying I try to break down everything because knowledge. You get centered by the knowledge. You know what how to deal with people, and how to keep your distance and how to maneuver around things by having the proper knowledge. Right. Okay.
Believe me, that is not easy.
Oh no, it ain't easy. It's like when you first start trying to keep the Shabbat. It's
Yeah.
no different.
Mm.
Yeah. And there's some.
Yes, it is.
Anybody else? Let me get this question right quick. Said in Joshua 6:5. Let me read it. Okay. Let me get this Joshua right quick. Okay. See Joshua 6:5. And a lioness came with her two whelps, male and female, and the three crouched before Noah. And the two whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her and made her flee from her place. And she went away, and they returned to their places and crouched down upon the earth before Noah. Okay. So it said the question is, uh, mentioned the lioness crouching down before Noah alongside her two cubs, thinking like a Hebrew, is it safe to assume these cubs are the forefathers to the lion faced forefathers to the lion faced mighty men in the First Chronicles 12:8. Let me read that. First Chronicles 12:8. Okay. 12:8. And of the Gadites, they're separated. Okay. And of the Gadites, they're separated themselves under David into the whole of the wilderness, men of might and men of war fit for battle. And they could handle the shields and bucklers, whose faces were like the faces of lions and were as swift as the roes upon the mountains. Right. Yeah, I mean you can that's a good comparison and contrast. But if when you go to Joshua 6:5, it says, um, and the lioness, that's the mother. The mother had two children with her. She had a male and a female, right? And Noah's supposed to be bringing a male and a female on the boat. So the lioness coming there, and her role is to protect those two, right? So it says she got two kids, a male and a female, and the three crouched down before Noah, and the two whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her, because that's Most High put a spirit on them, because it ain't nothing but a male and a female supposed to come on the boat. And if they don't get rid of her, she gonna try to prevent them from, doing the Most High will, and that's for a male and a female lion to go on the boat. So it says, and he made and says, and the two whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her and made her flee from the place. See that? That's the spirit of Most High put on them, and she went away, and they returned to their place. See that? And crouched upon the earth, bowed down before Noah, because it's a male and a female supposed to get on the boat. Okay. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay. So being that we was talking about Egypt and Moses and all that, I'm over in I'm gonna read Joshua chapter 79, because it's got some information in there that's not in the King James. So I felt like it was proper to deal with that tonight. Let me read that. Joshua 79. Okay. It's dealing with the plagues, and it's kind of tied to the question that was posed earlier about what's going to go down in the last days. So I'm starting in Genesis chapter 7. I mean, Joshua chapter 7:9. And in those days, Moses was feeding the flocks of Raul the Midianite, his father-in-law, beyond the wilderness of Sin. And the stick which he took from his father-in-law was in his hand. And it came to pass one day that a kid of goats strayed from the flock, and Moses pursued it and came to the mountain of God, to the mountain of Horeb. And when he came to Horeb, the Lord appeared unto him in the bush, and he found the bush burning with fire, but the fire had no power over the bush to consume it. And Moses was greatly astonished at this sight. Wherefore the bush was not consumed, and he approached to see this mighty thing. And the Lord called unto Moses out of the fire and commanded him to go down to Egypt, to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to send the children of Israel from his service. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, return to Egypt, for all those men who sought thy life are dead. And thou shalt speak unto Pharaoh to send forth the children of Israel from his land. So, like I was saying before, what we witnessing right now, he's preparing the way. Well, we not. I mean, somebody that's just living to be living, and they're not actually dealing with the Spirit of the Most High and trying to figure out who they are. They won't see none of that. But verse 5 says, the Lord said unto Moses, Go, return to Egypt, for all the men who sought thy life are dead. So what they tell me, that he was, while Moses was doing his thing, he over here killing all these men. That's gonna give Moses a problem when he bring him back. So when after he done that, he came back and tell Moses, they all the men that you got a problem with, they dead. I knocked them off. He says, and thou shalt speak unto Pharaoh and send forth the children of Israel from his sight, from his land. So let's look at that. So who the culprit behind us, all the atrocities that happened to us, and the reason why we ain't left here is Esau. So in order for us to leave, you gotta knock Esau off. Ain't that what he tell us in the book of Obadiah? That Esau gonna be stubble, Israel gonna be fire, and Esau gonna be stubble. Okay? 6. And the Lord showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt before the eyes of the Pharaoh and the eyes of the subject, in order that they might believe that the Lord had sent him. And Moses hearkened to all that the Lord had commanded him, and he returned to his father-in-law and told him the thing. And Rahu said to him, Go in peace. And Moses rose up to go to Egypt, and he took his wife and his son with him, and he was at an inn in the road. And the angel of the Lord and the angel of God came down and sought an occasion against him. And he wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son, because he had not circumcised him, and had transgressed the covenant which the Lord had made with Abraham. For Moses had hearkened to the words of his father-in-law, which had spoken to him not to circumcise his firstborn son. Therefore he circumcised him not. And Zipporah saw the angel of the Lord, seeking an occasion against Moses, and she knew that this thing was owing to him not having circumcised her son Gershom. And Zipporah hastened and took a sharp rock stone that was there, and she circumcised her son and delivered her husband and her son from the hands of the angel of the Lord. And Aaron and Aram, the brother of Moses, was in Egypt walking at the riverside on that day, and the Lord appeared unto him in that place, and he said to him, Go now toward Moses in the wilderness. And he went and met him in the mountain of God, and he kissed him. See, they don't tell us this. I showed you another example of that. He all over the place. And this killed the New Testament. This killed the storyline they got in the New Testament about JC, because he says right here, if you go back to the story of Hagar, Hagar left, and we see the angel of the Lord went and got her and brought her back. Same time he talking to Abraham, he talking to Sarah, he connecting all these dots, bringing them back together, making everything unfold. And he doing it right here. He appeared at a bush and told Moses to go back to Egypt. Right? He on the road getting ready to kill Gershom because he ain't circumcised. And now he went to Egypt. And it says 13, And Aaron, the son of Aram, the brother of Moses, was in Egypt, walking at the riverside on that day, and the Lord appeared unto him in that place, and he said to him, "Go now toward Moses." He already got Moses coming to Egypt. Now he's sending Aaron toward Moses in the wilderness, and he went and met him in the mountain of God and kissed him. And Aaron lifted up his eyes and saw Zipporah, the wife of Moses, and her children. And he said unto Moses, "Who are these unto thee?" And Moses said unto him, "They are my wife and sons, which God gave to me in Midian." And the thing grieved Aaron on account of the woman and her children. And Aaron said unto Moses, "Send away the woman and her children, that they may go to her father's house." And Moses hearkened unto the words of Aaron and did so. And Zipporah returned to her children, turned with her children, and they went to the house of Raoul and remained there until the time arrived when the Lord had visited his people and brought them forth from Egypt from the hand of Pharaoh. And Moses and Aaron came to Egypt to the community of children of Israel, and they spoke to them all the words of the Lord, and the people rejoiced, and exceedingly great rejoicing. And Moses and Aaron rose up early on the next day, and they went to the house of Pharaoh, and they took in their hands the stick of God. And when they came to the king's gate, 2 young lions were confined there with iron instruments, and no person went out or came in from before them, unless those whom the king ordered to come. And the conjurers came and would draw the lions by their incantations, and thus brought them to the king. And Moses hastened and lifted up the stick upon the lions, and he loosed them. And Moses and Aaron came in into the king's house, and the lions also came with them in joy, and they followed them and rejoiced as the dog rejoices after his master when he comes from the field. And when Pharaoh saw this thing, he was astonished at it, and he was greatly terrified at the report, for their appearance was like the appearance of the children of God. And Pharaoh said to Moses, "What do you require?" And they answered him, saying, "The Lord God of the Hebrews has sent us to thee, to say, Send forth my people, that they may serve me." And when the Pharaoh heard their words, he was greatly terrified before them. And he said to them, "Go today and come back to me tomorrow." And they did according to the word of the king. And when they had gone, Pharaoh sent to Balaam the musician, and to Janus and Jambres his sons, and to all the musicians and conjurers and counselors which belonged to the king. And they all came and sat before the king. And the king told them all the words which Moses and his brother Aaron had spoken unto him. And the musician said to the king, "But how can the men of thee on account of the lions which were confined at the gate?" And the king said, "Because they lifted up their rod against the lions and loosed them, and came to me, and the lions also rejoiced at them, as the dog rejoices to meet his master." And Balaam the son of Beor, the musician, answered the king, saying, "These are none else than the musicians like ourselves. Now therefore send for them, and let them come, and we will try them." And the king did so. So let's look at that. Like I was saying before, we were just like watching this woman talking, and so they can't perceive, you know, they can't perceive that it's Yahweh or that it's the Creator God, because he's steady trying to tie them to being musicians and the way that they think. That's what the woman was just saying. There's no way they can see nothing that has to do with us as Hebrew Israelites. They mind ain't geared toward. They not made up the way that we made up. Their origin is not the same as our origins. So you can't even expect them to perceive nothing. That's why I say you feed them with a long handled spoon. Do more watching than talking when you're around them. So it says, now therefore send for them and let them come, and we will try them. And the king did so. And in the morning the Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron to come before the king, and they took the rod of God, came to the king, and spoke to him, saying, "Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, send my people, that they may serve me, serve me. Let me say that. Okay. And the king said to them, but who will believe you that you are messengers of God and that you come to me by his orders? Now therefore give a wonder or a sign in this matter, and then the words which you speak will be believed. And Aaron hastened and threw the rod of his hand before Pharaoh and before his servants, and the rod turned into a serpent. And the sorcerers saw this, and they cast each man his rod upon the ground, and they became serpents. Right? It says, and the serpents of Aaron's rods lifted up his head and opened his mouth to swallow the rods of the musicians. And Balaam the musician answered and said, this thing has been from the days of old, that a serpent should swallow uh, its fellow, and that living things devour each other. Now therefore restore it to a rod as it was at first, and we will also restore our rod as they were at first. And if thy rod shall swallow our rods, then shall we know that the Spirit of God is in thee, and if not, thou art only artificial like unto ourselves. And Aaron hastened and stretched forth his hand and caught the hold of the serpent's tail, and it became a rod in his hand. And the sorcerers did like uh, with their rods, and they got hold, each man of the tail of the serpent, and they became rods at first. And when they were restored the rods, the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods. And when the king saw this thing, he ordered the book of the records that related to the kings of Egypt to be brought. And they brought the book of records and the chronicles of the kings of Egypt, in which all the idols of Egypt were inscribed. For they thought of finding therein the name of Jehovah, but they found it not. And the Pharaoh said to Moses and Aaron, behold, I have not found the name of your God written in this book, and his name I know not. So we got an answer right here on an age-old problem that's been here. So I was telling you how we found out that Yahweh and the Lord of hosts, two different beings, right? And I was telling you how that everybody know who Yahweh is. Everybody know who the creator God is. From Adam all the way down. The 6 day man, the Cain's sinners, everybody knew who Yahweh was, but nobody knew who Lord of hosts was. So Yahweh sent Lord of hosts to Egypt. See this right here? We're going to get the answer right here. He says, after Moses' rod swallowed up those musicians' rod, 43 says, and when the king saw this, when the Pharaoh saw this, he ordered the books, see this? The books of the records that related to the kings of Egypt to be brought. And they brought the book of the records and the chronicles of the kings of Egypt, in which the idols, right, all the gods of Egypt were inscribed. So creator there, this 6 day man. So Lord, Yahweh there, he's part of them, part of this. Said for all the gods, for they thought of finding therein the name of Jehovah. So now we know what Jehovah means. See that? Name of Jehovah. But they found it not. See, so he's telling us in the scriptures, I got a name when I went to Egypt. That's when they found out who I was when I went to Egypt. See that? Right there. In the book of Jasher. And the Pharaoh said to Moses and Aaron, behold, I have not found the name of your God written in this book, and his name I know not. See that? Because it's the Lord of hosts. Just like right now. Everybody know Yahweh, but they don't know who the Lord of hosts is. Come on. See that? And the counselors and the wise men answered the king, we have heard that the God of the Hebrews is a son of the wise, the son of an ancient king. See that? See that? So anyway, so what's a prince?
Angel.
A prince is a son, right?
Son of the king, yeah.
Right. So what Michael is? Ain't he a prince?
Yes.
Okay. Son of God. Okay. Anyway, so he says, and Pharaoh turned to Moses and Aaron and said to them, I know not the Lord. See that? Whom you have declared, neither will I send his people away. That's where we at right today. They all these folks know Jesus. They don't know the Lord of hosts. Let's go in. Let's go into the little further. It just, like I said earlier, it ain't nothing new under the sun. This didn't happen before. They ain't know who he was. Just like they don't know who it is now. So I lost my train of thought. Let me get that over here. So it'll come back. So he says, and the counselors and the wise men answered the king, we have heard that the God of Hebrews is the son of a wise, the son of an ancient king. And Pharaoh turned to Moses and Aaron and said to them, I know not the Lord whom you have declared, neither will I send his people away. And they answered and said to the king, the Lord God, see that? The Lord God of gods is his name, and he proclaims his name over us for the days of our ancestors, and sent us, saying, go to the Pharaoh and say unto him, send my people that they may serve me. Now we was talking the other day about these different names and how to rightly divide them. So who is it that came to Egypt? Hello?
The
What
Lord
you
of
say?
hosts.
Who was the God that came to Egypt and delivered the Israelites?
The Lord of
Michael.
hosts, right?
Okay, so we're gonna go over here. Go to Genesis chapter 18 right quick. We're going all the way in. Genesis 18. Okay, and got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So verse 1, we see that, and the Lord appeared under capital L. Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes, and lo, 3 men. So we know these 3 angels, right?
Right.
Okay. 22, verse 22. The men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stayed yet with the Lord. That's capital L, right?
Right.
Okay, but the rest of it, just the first letter is capital, right?
Right.
So, like I'm saying, you gotta understand these scribes. They're scribes. That's why we in the predicament we in. We're dealing with
Okay.
scribes. Scribes,
Okay.
Pharisees, holy men wrote this, hoodwinked this. So, chapter 19, verse 1 says, and there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the tent, Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot seeing them rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, behold, my lords, lowercase. See that?
Yes.
It's 3 angels. One of my angels got a capital L on it.
Right.
And then 2 of them got a lowercase L. So whoever wrote this know that. One of them had more power than the other 2.
More power than the other 2 did.
Now I'll show you what I'm talking about. So now they can't copy JC, and they want you to think it's one God. Now we back over here where I was at. Joshua, chapter 79, 47. This is how you write a divide. So you're in 47?
Yes.
And they answered and said to the king, right? The Lord God. See that? All caps. See that? You see it?
Yes.
The Lord God of gods is his name. So they trying to make you think that's Yahweh. That's why we've been thinking all the time it was Yahweh, because they set us up for it. This ain't no Yahweh. See that? Lord God of gods is his name, and he proclaimed his name over us from the days of our ancestors, and sent us, saying, go to the Pharaoh, and see that? So they flipped it off just by doing this right here. And then nowhere else do you see this. Except when they get ready to hoodwink you, all of a sudden you start seeing all these caps, Lord God of gods and all that. That's to throw you off from right dividing who's who and who's doing this and when they doing it. Brainwashing. So that's an example. So anyway, 48. Now therefore send us that we may take a journey for 3 days in the wilderness, and there we may sacrifice to him. For from the days of from our going down in Egypt, he has not taken from our hands either burnt offerings, oblations, or sacrifices. And if thou wilt not send us, his anger will be kindled against thee, and he will smite Egypt, either with the plagues or with a sword. Who got a sword?
Lord of hosts, Michael.
There it is, right there. But they got you thinking it's Yahweh. I'm gonna read 48 again. Now, therefore, send us that we may take a journey for 3 days in the wilderness, and they'll make sacrifices to him. See that Yahweh ain't requiring no sacrifice from nobody. It's the angel of the Lord. Lord of hosts requiring a sacrifice. Yahweh don't need no sacrifice. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, what are these fallen angels requiring of the people? Where they at? They requiring a sacrifice, right?
Right.
But they require humans, little children.
Right.
So Yahweh ain't requiring no sacrifice for nobody. He up in heaven. He ain't requiring no sacrifice. Come on. So then says, then the Pharaoh said unto them, tell me now his power and his might. And they said to him, look at this. He created the heavens and the earth, the seas, and all their fishes, and he formed the light, created. So he telling you who did all this. Come on. It says, and the Pharaoh said to them, tell me now his power and his might. And they said to him, he created the heavens and the earth, the seas, and all the fishes. He formed the light. He created darkness. He caused rain upon the earth and watered it. And he made the herbage and the grass to sprout. He created mankind. He created man and beast and the animals of the forest, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea. And by his mouth, see that? They lived and died. Come on now. So what his name is? He who created. See that?
Yes.
Let's go back and read it. Let's read it again. 49. And the Pharaoh said unto them, tell me now his power and his might. And they said unto him, he created. That's what his name is.
Come on.
Come on. He created the heavens and the earth, the seas and all their fishes. He formed the light, created the darkness, caused rain upon the earth, and watered it, and he made the herbage and the grass to sprout. He created, come on, man and beast, and the animals of the forest, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea. By his mouth, they live and die. Come on, man. That's how you write the divide. So, 50. So he created thee in thy mother's womb. He put into thee the breath of life. He reared thee and placed thee upon the royal throne of Egypt. See, the Pharaoh ain't even know all of it.
Come on.
Pharaoh, he ain't know all of it. Ain't that where we was at for the longest? Fumbling with JC and not knowing it's our L that watched over us all them years when we stole off.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't no JC.
Yes.
Thank you. Now it says 51. And the anger of the king was kindled at their words. And he said to them, but who among all the gods of the nations can do this? My river is mine own, and I made it for myself. Now let's look at it. 51. And the anger of the king was kindled at their hands. Watch this. Just like now, Negroes ready to kill you now when you bring them the truth. The anger of the king was kindled against their words. Why? He said to them, but who amongst all the gods of the nations can do this? Now let's go back and look at why Lord of hosts talking the way he talking. He said, who among these gods? Els. Yahweh ain't included. Who amongst these Els can do this? Who can do this right with I'm seeing happening? Who can do that? Now look at this. In Isaiah 43. In case this wasn't registered. Isaiah 43. Let's look at it. 43 and 10. 9, 43 and 9. Let all the nations be gathered together and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses that they may be justified, and let them hear and say it is true. Now here we go. This is why he's talking like this. Ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, these Hebrews, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, understand that I am he. That's what the Pharaoh just asked. Who is this? Who is this ain't the God? I don't know this God. Who is it? Then he says, ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, there was no ale formed. You can't fumble with that. See, now it's right here out in the open. Yahweh wasn't formed. See that? He says, they want to when it's getting broken down, they want to want everybody to think I didn't got a misprint. But he said right here, before me, there was no ale formed. Right there, just like the Pharaoh asked the question. Out of all these L's, all these fallen angels that came down and all these angels that we done dealt with, I don't know no L like this that can do this. Well, he answered it right here. Before me, there was no L form, neither shall I be after me. Even I am the Lord, and besides me, there's no Savior. I declare, I have saved, I have showed when there was no strange God. Look at that. No strange angel. All these angels, all angels. See that? Gods among you. Therefore, ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, that I am God. Yea, before the day was, I am he. And there is none that can deliver out of my hands, and I will work, and who shall let it? That's why he's talking like that. It wasn't just Pharaoh didn't know what the hell was going on. All the kings around didn't know what was going on. That's why they got class when they came across these Hebrews. Joseph gave Pharaoh a class. Mordecai gave Aarons a class. Come on. 53. And Moses and Aaron went out from the king's presence, and they saw the children of Israel in an evil condition, for the taskmasters had made their labor exceedingly heavy. And Moses returned to the Lord and said, why hast thou ill treated thy people? For since I came to speak to the Pharaoh, what thou didst send me for, he has exceedingly ill used the children of Israel. Ain't that our predicament now? Since we left in 143 BC, and we've been ill treated. That's not what that wasn't his intentions. He sent us over there for a punishment, but they got worse and worse with us to the point where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing new under the sun. Says, and the Lord said unto Moses, behold, thou will see that with an outstretched hand and heavy plagues, the Pharaoh will send the children of Israel out. Ain't that what we're looking at? We just talking about that. Ain't we looking at an outstretched hand and heavy plagues? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Moses,
Hallelujah.
and Moses and Aaron dwelt among their brethren, the children of Israel in Egypt. And as for the children of Israel, okay, as the children of Israel, the Egyptians embittered their lives with the heavy work which they imposed upon them. See that? So it ain't nothing new under the sun. So that answers the previous question. Okay, so we got let me see, chapter 80. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on chapter 80. We'll deal with it another day. So anybody got any questions or comments?
Shalom.
Okay.
I just wanted to say everything is working according to its plan.
Right, exactly. Right, you're right. You're looking right at it.
Yes.
Want to get something?
You said it, sister.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
I'm so impressed with the way that the Most High, our Lord God be handling his business. Like, it just be impressing me. I be feeling good, boy. We get to talk about him like, yeah, that's my God, for real.
Okay. Want to get something? Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's definitely motivating. Lift you up.
Yes.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, I'm gonna read this before I close out, and then I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna read Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Then I'll read the first 10 verses. Let me get it. Chapter 3, first 10 verses. This is a time for everything. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The time to be born, time to die, time to plant, time to pluck up that which is planted, time to kill, time to heal, time to break down, time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to loose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, a time of peace. What profits have he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he have set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the works of that God make it from the beginning to the end. Okay, so we see right here, like you said, it's a time appointed Moab for everything. So to get all bent out of shape, uh, we see that the Most High been doing this for thousands of years. So if he told us that he's going to come and deliver us, it's a time for deliverance. When we see the events in the world manifesting and heading in that direction. So I want to shine a light on one thing on here. I'm constantly saying this all the time. So it says, verse 6, a time to get. The time to get. Okay? So with that being said, anybody got any comments before we go?
That
There's
came.
a right time for everything.
Okay?
A right time for everything.
Right. Time to get out of
Man,
here.
it's right on
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Let it
Yes.
come through.
I have one question.
Okay?
Does it seem like the Sabbaths are coming really fast to you guys?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay,
Like
right.
every other day a Sabbath seems like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I
Okay.
could have sworn we was just on the Shabbat, what, 2 days ago? Now we back at the
Right.
Shabbat again. Like, man.
Right. Yeah, it's he rushing up the time. Ain't that something? I'm looking at any day now. Me, that's where I'm at.
Man, the God that we serve is truly a and bless his name, bless his works. Blessed be the Lord of hosts. May he reign forever and ever. All praises. Hallelujah. Straight up. It's a blessing to be called Israel. You heard me.
Right, exactly. Everybody good?
We good. That sounded like some New Orleans coming out.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna say shalom, everybody. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Another great class.
Okay.
Another great class. Shalom.